Hello, welcome to day 19 in this PHP Web Framework. This is the second part of creating the documentation. As I said in the previous video, these videos won't really require much coding. When we find bugs and we will fix them, then it will, but it's going to be documenting it, and I wanted to document the documentation side. So it's going to be in the title saying documentation is going to be in brackets. Might be boring, something along those lines. Did that for the first video. So if you watch the start of this and you watch it and you read the title, like I say, it's documenting the framework. So you might get bored. So if you don't want to watch it, that's up to you. But just a little warning. But yeah, let's get back into it. So we had this getting starting page and the home page, which was a good start. It's going to go back to the Netflix GitHub from the Historics project. I'm also going to go to a friend of mine's wiki as well, because I did like the way he did here. So creating a cartridge, this is what he calls essentially a plugin. So let's have a look, because what we've done at the moment is, and let's have a look at the way GitHub's doing theirs as well. I mean, not GitHub, Netflix. If I go to how it works, show some charts, blah blah blah. If I go to, let's go to migration guide. That's no code in there. How to use maybe. Yeah, okay. I quite like the look of this. So they got contents. I like that. So if let's say we had, actually, what might be sort of a, depends on the way we want to arrange it. I think first of all we should have an overview page. Like the home is just going to be like an intro about what the framework is. Then an overview will essentially cover the few core folders, and then there will be links from there that will take you to a page that will cover all of the app stuff, all of the core stuff, and what we've got in there, and there'll be separate links, blah blah blah. I think that might be a good start. So if I go click new page, overview, and for this is hash overview. So this page will cover the core folders in the root of this project. I'm gonna use a list item. So I'm going to have for app, and then I'm gonna have classes. This is sort of going to be like the contents of it. Yeah, I'm going to do contents here. So I'm going to put hash contents, classes, core. We don't have anything in the DB backups, but one day there might be. And I think the DB backups is more for like you, in a way. It's more just so you have something that you might need. So like you back up your own database stuff in there. That was my thinking behind it, but you might want to change that. We got a separate folder for database schemas. Okay, we got elements libs, elements libs, public, and that is it. And template as well. I think it's templates. So I'm just going to save that, see what it looks like. So far so good. See the way they've done it. So it anchors down. I want to see what that link is. So yes, it's simple ahref. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to edit. How have they done the sections anyway? So we go to hello world, just a whole nother h2, so hash app. So if I were to enclose this in a ahref, no, technically this will be an ID. So I'm going to put, as this is a h2, I might as well put the h2 tag and then put an ID in here. And for the ID, I'm just going to put app lowercase h2. Usually I would have IDs with starting with an uppercase, but for this circumstance I won't, because it just look nice, I think, because of the naming convention that's going on, which is lowercase anyway. And this is a hash app. Make sure that works. The only way I can probably do that is if I put a bunch of blank content. For adding more content. Sure I did, but edit. Okay, so the markdown stuff, if it's not 2 lines down, then it won't, or it hasn't got like a block level element, he'll put it on the same line, so it's like sort of halved it. It's fine. So I'm going to do the same for or 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this will be classes, core, db_ backups, elements, libs, public and templates, public templates. Now I'm probably just be easy for copy and paste this here, here. Maybe easier, might not be easier, we'll see. Okay, so if I copy and paste classes to here, and to here. Do the same for core. If I just do that all the way down, that will get everything all nicely formatted and, you know, named more specifically, not formatted. And we got public and templates left. Okay, I'm just going to save it, see what it looks like, and we're looking good. If we go to app, we'll go to core. Well, if I, let's say we click templates, I can't go any lower because that's the lowest I can go, but it will be better once there's content within each one. So now within the apps section, I think this, I'm just going to have a brief description what the app folder is. So the app folder is essentially like a very sort of cut down basic version of an MVC. So it's got the control, like the controller stuff, which just handle any sort of like where the website, the URL goes, model. These will essentially be the contents of this folder contain the pages that the user will view, along with any controllers to handle, along with any that the user will view. Okay, I think that is Okay. Anything beyond, that's fine, because I'm probably going to have another link saying click here for more information about the app folder. And that will take you to a separate page, and I will sort that out very soon. First of all, let me just put a brief description for all of the others. Might as well do this as well for all of them. So DB_backups, elements, libs, public, template. So if I save that, all good stuff. So if I were to click tab, it still goes to it. That's all good. Okay, so classes will be the contents of this folder contain the core classes of the PHP Web Framework that will be used from the app folder. So then that's where they will be used. No, I'm not going to put that. That will be used. That's it. That's fine. Well, I'm not trying to write some sort of coursework or essay where I have to make up the word count. I'll just put enough and that'll be fine. The core folder. What's in here again? There's configurations. Configuration, really, initialization and configurations. The contents of this folder handle the initialization of this framework along with the framework's configuration files. This folder will be empty and is intended for the user to store database backups, for the developer store database backups / schemas. Elements is just like header and footer. Is there anything else in there apart from like the favicon and the body? Contains core website, contains the core website structure that is applied to every single page. I think I might want to put on here a way to not use the template, the elements, the header and footer elements, or to and then in here put some more information. Or allow the user to select a default set of elements, but allow this to be overridden. And that will be based in the view, because maybe you have a view where you want, you know, a different set of elements for some reason. You might want that. So as a result, we probably need to provide a way to handle this. Libs. This is just contain external libraries. This folder contains all the external libraries. Public. This folder contains the public content that the user would be directed to and would have direct access to. Because what I mean by that is obviously they're directed to the public folder, but if they do public/img, they could access your images or your CSS file in JavaScript. That's not really any sort of security risk for the most part, so that's fine. They can't go outside of this. One, you're hosting, you probably point to public anyway. Two, we've got HT access files to eliminate that. So if I were to go to something like localhost, so let's say if I go to public, that's all good. But if I go to the PHP framework, it literally does not let me. If I try and go to app, I can't do it. If I try and go to app core /app.php, I can go to that one, but it doesn't it doesn't do anything at all. I can't do anything with it. Actually, that's not in the core file. Yeah, you can't do anything with it, and chances are your actual website would probably point to this. So if you were to go to, let's just say Sonar Learning, this isn't using this framework at the moment, eventually we will be using it, but if I were to go to here, you wouldn't do / you know, public. You would actually just go to here, and this would just point to those contents. So you wouldn't, the actual server wouldn't let you go to the folders above. So that's generally how you would have it. So direct access to this folder contains any templates the developer has created to be used from anywhere in the website. Save page. Okay, so I forgot templates. Yeah, so good. Now I need to start doing your sort of custom sidebar. This should be the root folders. Folders. So if I save that, I'm going to put some content here, DFG. Actually no. I guess that's not how you add a site button. I'm going to need to have a look at GitHub Wiki sidebar. Let's just have a look at, okay, 20 minutes have gone, that's all good. custom sidebar. Okay, you know what? I am going to try. If I go to add a custom sidebar, if I just do that, see what comes up. Okie dokie. It's not quite what I want. Can't have multiple sidebars then. But I'm not interested in just doing that then. 1 second, scroll text, need to check that. Just bear with me. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of this content, delete the page actually. So thinking of the way to organize it then. Let's have separate pages for app classes core. Because I'm just thinking, let's say if I have a separate page for, you know, app classes, and I explain in there a bit more what each folder does. The actual thing that I really need to document is every single class, pretty much. I need to document the configuration files in some form. These can just be briefly mentioned in the core section. The elements that have its own page. So yeah, okay, I'm happy with doing that. So I'm going to rename this to app folder hash app folder. Okay, so I'm gonna say, I keep getting a message from my brother. Okay, so I want to explain the controllers. Again, this is just a brief explanation of, yeah, how would I explain this? Okay, I need a section for controllers, core, views and models. So create a content section. And this is going to be one dot. That's going to be controllers. And that was core. init.php. Models. And views. Remember, I'm going to do H2s over here. Before I still had it in the clipboard, had something else there instead. and the ID for this is going to be controllers. Okay, so core init.php models and views. So for this, I'm going to put ahref equals, and the reason I'm going to do it like this is I'll just paste it here. Now put a closing anchor tag. So now I can just simply copy and paste each one of these over here. Okay, so now let's explain the controllers folder. So the controllers folder essentially handles the routing of the website, the page location. Controllers handle the page location that the user is the page provides the page that the user is viewing based on the URL using a routing system instead of a .php like system. I'm pretty positive if I were to rename that to home E and go to the web page, go to public, it doesn't like it because there isn't one called home E. But if I go to home E, it doesn't like it from probably here. Yep, that's fine. That's all I wanted to do, was confirm the way this works. So for the user can visit the website, a class at least one class is required. And if I go to core controller, and by default it tries to point to a home. By default, the class it tries to point to is home, but can be overridden. God damn it, how do you spell it? Double D. Overridden within the, can be overridden from core/app.php. And for this I'm just going to put asterisk so something to stick out. Class example. And I'm going to put a h3 tag. And how do I add a code block? I believe that's it right here. Code. Okay, apparently that is the code block. For home, I'm going to copy and paste this and just delete what I don't need from here. So edit. Okay, that's all good. Open up Sublime. Paste it into here, and I'll get rid of everything apart from, let's say, this. For now, just to get it working. Index, contact, for example, views, contact, public function, account, and this will just show an example of how you could go to like another folder within it, so it can be user account. So if I were to replace the contents of that with this, okay. Markdown PHP code. Markdown editor. I don't think this is what I really want. Actually, yes. People should have, you know, a basic knowledge of. But it didn't even pick that up. So why didn't he get that method, but he got the other one? See what happened if I were to get rid of this. Nope, it does not like that at all. GitHub, Wiki, PHP code. I need to find out how you would write it in there. GitHub Wiki CodeBlock. See if it's more like a more advanced CodeBlock, where it basically forces everything to be within the CodeBlock. Large settings, smaller settings. So it goes up to 6. Italic is single. Could do underscores as well. Bold and italic. Quoting text, quoting code. Lists. Quoting code. Triple backticks. So let's save that. Okay, that's much better. Just need to go back and add in this. So now, should I class example, need to explain each individual part. So what I'll do is, that's like an overall class example. I'm going to do the class name must be the same as the file name without the .php extension. And must extend the framework's controller class. So what I could do is just sort of get this, just put this here, like so. So it's just sort of explaining each individual code block section. Just to make sure there's no ambiguity. You must use the Sonar app namespace for all content inside the for all controllers. For all controllers. Okay. Now I'm going to explain this. This is the default page the user will be directed to, will be shown when visiting this controller. I'll put like a sort of section here saying code example explanations, class example explained. So we're pretty much explaining most of the functionality within it. Again, we're probably not going to be, explaining most of this because this is just core functionality of the framework. We might say that if you want to override the namespace, change it, you need to change these two, or if you want to change the default controller, the default page that it goes to, these are the two few things. I think that's all we'll actually do. Everything else will be done. We're just gonna say this is what the app page does, and that is it. So the core explanation isn't gonna be that much. This is an example of a separate URL or URL method the user would have to, let's confirm. So if I go to localhost, say if I were to go to commenting, that's not valid, so you'd have to go to home/commenting. Fine. The user would have to visit website name dot something /home/contact to invoke this method. I'll just put HTTP here, website name.com. I'm just gonna actually say example URL to invoke contact method website.com/contact home/contact. And now I'm just going to explain what this one does. Essentially the same as before, but just allows you to... should I explain what this one does? I think this one should be obvious, that it just allows you to point to a folder within the home. No, actually that's fine. I'm not going to explain that. That shouldn't need explaining. If I get feedback saying that they don't quite understand, then I will explain it. Let's check the time. 45 minutes. So oh yeah, website.com/home/contact. Okay, so now I need to do the core folder. So if I go to edit, I don't like, why is it in that order for? I'm guessing it's in alphabetical order after home, which I do not like. I absolutely do not like. So I'm going to put this overview like so. Wasn't dash valid? Okay, so it doesn't like that. Probably won't like that either. Okay, it's done with that. Actually, we need an example of something like this, where you're actually invoking multiple parameters. So yeah, I will need to do one like this now as a part of it, and I need to sort that out as well. So if I edit this page, indent, might just copy and paste that to something like here, change that to contact, and hopefully this fixes it. Result. So let's go back to editing, copy that again, copy and paste that to here, that to here, and this to here. So I need to cut that. It's not the most elegant solution of doing things, but it gets things done. And for this, I'm going to say again, I want something that's sort of contextual with the actual name of the class. So what sort of page could you visit that will require a parameter to be passed in? Profile. I'll put user like user ID, that's fine. And I'll put user ID. The model could be something like profile, and the view is, well, again similar, home, profile, so now I need to explain this method. So if I go down to here, let's sort out all the indentation, and here we go. Okay, so now let's explain it. This is an example of catching slash handling get parameters from the URL. This method would have a single parameter which would be passed into a model that would handle a variable to be used within a scene, within the view that this method points to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is essentially get one that has two variables in there, and I'm simply going to say that this is an example of, this is similar to the example above, but with two parameters, with multiple. I'm going to say multiple, so there's no ambiguity in that you could have more. Okay, so I'm going to put reset password is a pretty decent name. Okay, that's just messed it up when I try to do it like that. Totally messed shit up. That keeps messing shit up, that does. Okay, so again, not the most elegant way of doing things. Need to figure out how to indent, and I'm going to copy and paste the contents of this into, or cut it into here. Get rid of this, and here we go. So reset password, I'm happy with that. Username, model, I'll call it reset password, blah 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 blah. And for this is going to be home, user reset password, that's fine. So for this now, again, sort out the indentation. It's a long process, this documentation is, but it's something that needs to be done if I'm creating a serious framework, which I am in the long term. I want this to be the ultimate web framework in the world. So this stuff needs to be done, and there's stuff that I'm forgetting how it works now because it's been so long since I've touched those elements, and obviously new users using it, they're gonna need something like this, so it's gonna be useful. Okay. This is a similar example to the previous one, but has multiple get parameters, but catches / handles multiple get parameters from the URL. Get. Okay, so if I save that, see how it's looking. Okay, it's looking good. For controller, I don't know if I just feel like it's all sort of blending together, whether this is explaining that, whether that's explaining that. I might add some horizontal rules. So if I scroll down, and obviously namespace, that's explaining that. So if I were to use our horizontal rule Markdown, apparently 3 stars. Let's see what that looks like. Class example explained. I'll put 3 for that actually. That horizontal rule was a bit thick, wasn't it? Yeah, I think I will put on like a horizontal rule. I wonder if I were to put my like a manual horizontal rule, you know, the actual HR tag, if it would look any better. I doubt it. I'll try it, but I will doubt it. Copy that, let's put it here. Okay, so it's literally after every single explanation. And that is fine. I don't need to put one after that because there's a H2 tag. Actually, one thing I want to check out, if I were to go to forum question 8, that invokes forum question. If I were to create a folder within here called folder and whack this into there, showing finder, if I whack this into here, refresh, that messes up. But if I were to go to here, instead of doing forum question, if I were to do folder, okay, that messes up even more. Okay, so that needs to be here. I need to get rid of that, and that should work now. Okay, so I believe, should I mention it within here? Really, this is only explaining the controllers. Should I mention it within here? No, I think I'll mention it within the models. That the actual, I'll probably give like an example usage of this, and I'll say that this needs to from that page, blah blah blah, needs to refer to that. Or actually, should I explain in here? This is an example of catching this method would have a single parameter which will be passed into a model that would be. Actually, I think I'll explain this little line of code as well. So if I go to edit, doesn't really allow you to drag it down too much. So we want that line of code. Not ZZZ. This line is the model that would be stored inside the model folder, which will handle get input. Should I explain this line as well? Now I think the rest of it, I'm gonna assume that the developer should be able to understand the rest of it. It should just be that bit. And what's the timing looking like? Okay, it's been over an hour. Took longer than expected, but that's documentation for you. Next time we'll be working on core. Really, again, like this should be pretty quick. Like the controller one, we'll pretty much just quickly glance over it. The init.php will briefly glance over it. The models won't be as in depth as the other stuff, and the views, really, this is just gonna say this is where your individual pages would be, and that is it. That's it really. So okay, next video I would definitely get all of the app explained, folder explained, then I will see the classes. Before I do classes, I'm probably gonna move on to core, elements, public, do all of these, because the classes, I just feel like each one of these need their own page. They deserve their own page, because I think I'll have, you know, an overview classes folder, and then within there I'll literally just have a list which will essentially be like the overview. So you'll have the contents, you have a brief explanation what each individual class does. That will I need to sort out this linking as well. That would link to a separate folder which will probably like classes : blog, and that would actually be the functionality that the user, once they've set up, that they would be interacting with on a regular basis. So I need to point to this folder. So if I go to edit, ahref equals and if I did that not I go to a separate page? Inspect. I didn't like the href, so again, I want to see the way again Netflix does it. So if I were to go to here, obviously that'll just be a proper URL. Actually, how does this do it? So if I inspect, it's literally just, but obviously that would dynamically change it. I want it to be, how dynamic does it need to be? That's, I guess I can just get away with doing it like this. If I go to overview, copy that, go to overview, edit, whack my ahref here, save the page, and now if I click on it, boom, yes. Okay, so let me try and estimate how long this documentation would take. I want to get done the rest of the app folder next time, core folder. I want to get all of like it done apart from classes. And the classes are gonna take a while. I know that. So this is day 2. Day 3 should be everything but classes. 3, 4, hopefully days if I can do 3 or so classes per day. Some of them will be really quick, you know, like the email one. That's gonna be like a very quick class. The config one really doesn't need much explanation. Comments needs a bit more explanation. The user class, how to the yes, this is going to need a lot of explanation. It's not going to explain individual piece of code. All we're going to be saying is these are the methods you can call. So okay, that is fine. I'm happy with that. Obviously, we're going to need an example sort of scenes as well. So I'm actually going to create a new page. This is going to be called notes. It's going to need example views. Asterisk. We're going to need example input handling, example get variable, get post variable, handling, example validation. Some of this will be covered within the classes explanation, but probably just do, you know, an example sort of view as well. So if I go into a view like, probably not the best one. I also going to need example paths to assets and redirection. So this is just sort of our extra notes thing. So if you were to be in here, yeah, we need to explain that you need to do this, then you would be using the token, and then within here, so we'll probably have like an example sort of input. So we might have just examples in general, so there'll be an overview. Actually, I'll probably just explain every single method you can call. I won't explain like private ones, probably just explain the ones you can call, how you would sort of construct that object class, how you would call that method, and what that method essentially does, and then we would have examples which would show you sort of input, how to do this. Obviously it'd be sort of a cut down version of this. We don't need any of this rubbish right here, but we would just have examples in general. Examples in general might be more than 6-7 days just on documentation, but again, it's going to be useful once we've created stuff. Afterwards we will make sure we document it as we go along. So yeah, this is day 19 for creating PHP Web Framework. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and leave us a comment. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on our education platform, sonarlearning.co.uk. Feel free to contribute any codes, make any suggestions, contribute to our documentation. We encourage that, we welcome it, because this is a community driven project by the community for the community. And yes, next time we'll be continuing documentation. There'll be a link to the GitHub page, so check that out in the description. And as usual, thank you for watching, and see you next time.